From Kiambu County, we cross over to the Bomas of Kenya, where today the bipartisan talks members are currently having a press conference in regards to the way forward. And as you can see, my colleague Giverson Maina is on standby to give us the information on what has been discussed. Good afternoon, Giverson.
Now we are coming to you live from Bomas of Kenya, where the bipartisan talks were actually supposed to happen, but we only have seen members of the Kenya Kwanza side of that bipartisan talks, led by a co-chairperson who happens also to be the Raka Member of Parliament, one George Murugara. Just without wasting time, I want to speak to him to tell us why the Azimio side never showed up in these particular talks. And so, welcome so much, Chairperson.
Thank you.
We have not seen the other side of the Azimio coalition.
Yes.
So what have you discussed as members of the Kenya Kwanza?
Now, first and foremost, we do not know why they've not turned up, because we gave them the invitation and we have had no communication, and we are surprised that they actually did not turn up. We have discussed on the way forward as regards the talks, and we have confirmed that the talks are still on, because we have a framework agreement that provides for how you can exit the talks. Those clauses that provide for exiting have not been invoked. So the status quo remains that the talks are suspended, and they can resume as soon as Azimio confirms they are ready to come back to the table. So we will have to wait for a reasonable period of time for this to happen.
But Chairperson, with all due respect, the co-chairperson of the other side, Otindo Molo, during the Kamukunji rally, they said they're not ready to come back to the table. They're not ready to talk. They want to go to streets.
Thank you. I heard that from a public rally, and we agreed by consent here, consensus, that we have a framework agreement. I really can't go by what was said in a political rally, because those were political pronouncements. I will have to wait until the framework agreement is actually invoked. It is invoked the way it is, and there is a formal exit by Azimio. That way, and once the dissolution clause is invoked, we will then term the talks as dissolved. But as we stand now, they remain suspended.
One of the issues in the discussion was about the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IBC. Correct. The selection panel, it had been halted, so to speak. Is that still, the case?
The position is that, the selection panel was also aware of what we were doing, and that possibly out of their own volition, they suspended recruitment for a while. But that suspension cannot be forever. This is why we have said now the law must kick in, the law must apply the way it is to the fullest. Let the selection panel proceed to apply the law as they are mandated. We are not directing them, because IBC is independent, and nobody and no institution can actually direct IBC. So it is the law that is going to direct the selection panel on what to do.
Sources at that particular panel had, indicated that they had, of course, cleared, or rather seen the papers and done the recruitment process was at an advanced stage. Maybe someone would argue that's why you were saying it should go on, because they already have shortlisted the names, which of course we know they have not released to the public.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that, because that is their work. They know what the law provides. They know what to do. As far as I'm concerned, I purely cite the law. The way the law is supposed to be applied, that is my authority as regards what I'm saying. As to what they're going to do after this, I do not know, and I do not wish to comment on it, because they are independent. They take direction from no one.
And lastly, they have announced a Sabasaba rally on 7th of this month. Do you want the talks to continue, or what's your condition?
Sorry, I have no condition whatsoever as regards the Sabasaba rally announced. If the rally is conducted within the parameters of the law, it is lawful, it is legal. However, if it is violent, it breaches the law, property is destroyed, life is injured, or life is lost, that is an illegality, and I do not think it can be allowed in the country. But as far as they are concerned, holding rallies, provided they comply with the requirements of the law, that is all lawful.
Now, lastly, what next for you, the Kenya Kwanza side? Are you going just to sit and wait until they come on table?
We will wait for a reasonable period of time. And then after that, let's not speculate what is going to happen. Let's not say what we are going to do. again, we have a framework agreement to which we have records, to which we can focus.
What's reasonable time?
A reasonable time is reasonable within the meaning of ascribed by the law. The man walking the streets, how many days can you wait for? It cannot be for years. It may not be for months, but it can be for a reasonable number of days. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That's co-chairperson of the Kenya Kwanza side of the bipartisan talk. They say they're going to sit and wait the Azimio side, led by co-chair Otiende Omolo, who also happens to be the member of parliament for Rarieda constituency, to say until what time they're ready to come back to the talks. Back to in studio, Ben Troy.
Very well said. Give us on Maina live from the Bomas of Kenya. They are earlier on engaging one of the co-chair of the bipartisan talks, that is George Murugara, who also happens to be the Tharaka MP. And some of the things that he has mentioned is that they were expecting the Azimio One Kenya coalition side for resumption of the talks at the Bomas of Kenya, but they were a no-show after boycotting today's session. He has said indeed that we have already informed them of the talks, but they did not show up. Another thing he has mentioned is that they have no issue with the rally, the Sabasaba rally, as long as it is conducted in accordance to the law, and they will only wait for a reasonable time for Azimio to come back to the talks. Something that we are keeping our keen eyes on